Welcome, welcome. What's coming up next week is what I'm calling the potluck of questions. So you got questions, bring them. We can answer them live. It's questions that don't really need a whole segment dedicated to them. Maybe they only need 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or it's a quick 2-minute answer. So if you've got something that comes up, write it down, bring it. So we can answer it live for everybody to get. I know that's one of the things on the Facebook groups where somebody puts a question and then they hear, I'll DM you and you're like, wait, what? I want to know too. So feel free to bring those. If you don't want to put your hand up and say something live, you can certainly email me. So you can email me those questions and I'll bring them up. Some examples are like infusions. Is that under lab? Is that under medications? How does that apply? How do you get a virtual assistant? When should you get a virtual assistant? What's the difference between embedded and non-embedded? So these are just kind of simple individual questions that have come, and I'm going to have that. On May 23rd, we have a behind the scenes from an FMO. So President of North American, Andy Daster, is going to be on and tell you what it's like on the FMO side, right? We all have to have FMOs. We all know about them. Constantly seeing questions about FMOs. Not all FMOs are created the same, but they all have some similarities. So you'll get to ask your question of an HMO president. He's pretty, Andy's down to earth guy and he'll tell you. And then May 30th is probably, I'm really, really excited. This is an insurance carrier. So it's one of my local ones, but all the insurance carriers have to do things the same way. So you get to understand, what do they get from healthcare.gov? How much control do they have backwards, right? How much can they tell healthcare.gov? How do they come up with the bronze, silver, gold? You know, like there's a formulary. So any question you've ever wanted to ask a carrier about general carrier things, not individual products, bring them. I love this group. They have been in Wisconsin, one of the longest running. Well, they're the longest insurance company. They were here when we started the marketplace, and they've come this whole way. They're a nonprofit co-op. So they've got a different perspective, but they've been through this whole thing. And they're pretty stable. It's one of the reasons why we like them. Their rates are consistently the same, but they've had 10 years to get their rhythm, to figure out where they fit. So I'm really excited about that one. That one I've been working on for a long time. And then we're going to have some future ones in June. As soon as I have those dates, I will send them out. All right, I think most people are on. So I'm going to share something with you. Reminder, I've had a couple people ask about the conference. So I'm really excited about the North American conference. I really am. So if you are interested in going to a conference that's smaller, usually about 100 people at the most, where you get to have not a million vendors to talk to, you have a few and you can really talk to them one-to-one. You go to na-insurance.com. So if you just go to their main page, over on the left, you'll see it, right? It just says conference. So click that. It'll take you here. You can click on tickets and I'll give you the coupon in a moment. But if you scroll down to the bottom and you're like, is it worth it? Here's all the people that are coming. This is probably the largest group of experts they've had in a long time. They've got more sponsors. There's actually 16 of them. These are just some of the top ones. And then here's the agenda. So you can see exactly what's going to happen on what day. It is in Dallas in July. So, but I wanted to point something out. This conference is different than any other. So in this first picture, right there. This guy right here is Will from Allstate. The vendors are actually sitting at the table with you. I've never been to a conference like that. So if you've got, you get to sit there with them and they get to hear from our side. Because one of the issues I find with vendors is they don't really understand how it works from our side. They know their product and they'll try and sell you something. And you're like, wait, I know your product. How do I use this? How do I quote this? What's the best one? And then they're trying to tell you their history of their company. And you're like, oh, I didn't ask that, right? With this, and every one of them, we had some owners of some big companies sitting at these round tables, getting to know us. So I highly recommend coming. If you click get tickets and it'll take you to this page. The price went up for the VIP. The least expensive is $99. And then there's a VIP one for $299. click get tickets, and they do have a 25% off coupon right now. And the coupon code is 25 and then off. Pretty easy. Hit apply and you will see it change right there. So it jumps down. And if you have a guest and they're not going to be involved in anything, you're just bringing your spouse to hang out with at night, you don't have to buy anything. But if you want your spouse to have the free food and come to any of the sessions and be part of the VIP stuff, then you can buy them an extra one. So there's it's pretty easy. It's a great conference. It's smaller than the Medicarian or even Brokers Pro that I was at last week. This is a lot more intimate, and you can have that conversation with the vendors and with each other. Some of the experts, they've been doing this a long time. So that's my sales pitch for the conference that's coming up in July. So today, we're talking about best practices for finding prospects, AKA clients, right? we want those clients. Now, I recently saw a post, and I'm sure some of you saw it. Somebody logged on and said, all right, I'm about to get my license. So what FMO can I go where I'm going to go 100% of my business? They're going to give me all free leads. They're going to give me all the tech. They're going to train me. And I'm like, well, that's a pipe dream. Like, that's a call center. You go work for somebody that is going to give you that. I mean, that's kind of the dream, right? We're all independents, but somebody's going to give us everything. Well, that doesn't really exist. You are responsible for you. Even the FMOs that do give leads, it's still on you. You still have to do the work. So I'm going to share some of the things I've heard. I haven't done personally because it's just not in my wheelhouse, and things that I have done personally that have worked. So some of the things that work, believe it or not, is postcards. They really do work. Now, it's a mass thing. You send out 100 postcards for a class, and you're going to get maybe 10% return. It's usually, if you get 1 or 2 clients, it's paid for itself. So Medicare still does it, right? My mother, who sold Medicare, she'd get that long, giant list, and we'd send out a postcard, and she would get 2 people. And okay, it would pay off. And she'd always go, is it worth it? And then I'm like, well, you sent out 50 cards, you got 2 people. Yeah, it paid for itself. It was worth it. And then, of course, word of mouth from those people. Mailing is not dead. It just isn't, because they have to physically pick up this postcard, look at it, and make a choice to either let's look at it or throw it away, as opposed to emails where they don't even open them, right? I don't know about you guys, but I'm a master delete, 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 and I'm not even, I just don't look at emails anymore. So postcards still work, mailings still work. There are plenty of vendors out there. One of them is actually coming to the conference. Chris, he'll tell you not to if it's hey, that's wrong demographic. But today's society, you can get pretty specific. You can say, I want ages 26 to 30. I want these people coming off their parents' plan and people who think they don't need health insurance. And I want their income to be blah. They can narrow it down. Or you can say, I just want everybody in my county that's under 65. So you can do mailings. It does work. Now, second thing you can do, Facebook leads. I see that all the time. There's a guy on there, somebody was asking about, who can train me to do Facebook leads? They do work, but that's what everybody is doing. Everybody's doing Facebook leads. I see so many Facebook commercials and leads right now. Like, I'm starting to just like emails. I'm like not looking at anything. Or you're the person who just clicks. And so you filled out 5 of those. The whole lot of them, not 100%, but a lot of the clients that are being stolen back and forth is because they clicked on a Facebook lead. And then they saw another Facebook lead, and then they saw another one. So while Facebook leads can work, it's usually a short term, unless you somehow make a great connection with them. So if you're going to do Facebook leads, do something different when you contact them. Chris Weirs, who is part of the group who will do mailings for you, also has a new Facebook lead campaign that can make it as detailed as you want. Now, you're going to pay for it more, right? But if you pay for something costs more, and gives you results, then it's worth the pay. So I know he's working on a campaign right now for a friend of mine who sells long-term care. And their product on Facebook is going to be live transfers. So I don't know about you, nobody answers their phone anymore. Even if they want you, even if they fill in their information and they're like, yes, call me. And you call them and you get their voicemail because nobody answers phones. So you can do that with a different type of lead where it's a live transfer. Okay. Sharon's in that program right now. So they're still working it out, but it can work because yes, if your phone is sitting there and you're ready to answer it and you've got it, hey, that person took the time to fill out the information to get that. So if you're interested in that program, it's through North American. So go to North American and they will, they can get you in contact with that. I can't remember. I'll even tell you who he is. But his name is Chris Weir. Josh, you might remember his name. He was at our conference last year and he sends out, but North American is working with him and that's with the long-term care, but he'll do it for anything that you want. That's what he specializes in. But you have to think about your hook. So this is something that worked for me in the early days, and we're going to do it again. Educational classes. Medicare people, Medicare agents have been doing it forever. Throwing it out there, hey, we're going to have a class and this is what you're going to learn. And even some that are captive, like Physicians Mutual, they throw out these classes and they kind of lead concepts. There you go. Lead concepts is where Chris is. But there are other vendors out there, but you know, I like that guy. He's a good guy. He do classes. So Medicare captive audiences will get a class, somebody who comes in and he talks about Medicare and then says, but really Physicians Mutual is all you want. It's not really an education class. His classes come learn about Physicians Mutual. But we started classes on what is Medicare 101. I mean, Medicare agents have been doing this for a long time. There is no reason that under 65 can't do the same thing. But you need to hear what is the pain point. I live in a very blue collar area. So when Medicare or when the Affordable Care Act first came out, there was 2 classes that were held ACA 101, and they were pretty filled. But that's because the Affordable Care Act was this huge Obamacare, and there's all this controversy with it, and nobody knew what was happening. So a bunch of people showed up. Those 2 classes were full. But by year 3, it kind of had done its thing, and she hosted a ACA 101, and 3 people showed up. I mean, there was nobody because that wasn't hitting anybody's pain point. A couple years later, I did a class called "Don't Let Insurance Stop You from Retiring." Completely packed. And I've used that one quite often because we have a lot of blue collar that want to retire, but they're holding on for COBRA. So you can, now you can do these in person, which is, you know, our preferred method, but you can also make these webinars online. You know, you can still do them if you're somebody who wants to work from home and you don't have a face-to-face. Or in your community at your local library. There's a lot of community centers. The chambers, go to your chamber. If they have a set, often you can use their space as because you're doing a service for your county. Those educational classes give you clients that are now dedicated to you. There's plenty of people who want to retire. I've thought about throwing out a class out there saying, my child's getting kicked off my insurance. How do I get them covered? Right? Because the 26-year-old is not going to show up. The 25-year-old is not going to show up. But the parent is. I don't know how many of you have worked with those 25, 26-year-olds where their mommy brings them in because mom is like, you're going to get insurance. So host a class for the parents. So that is, you have to understand your community. One of my agents, Josh, said, let's do one on ancillary products. It may not be full. I'm not expecting 500 people to show up when we're talking about accident, dental, you know, critical illness. But if we can get 10, that's 10 more people who are educated. They're like, thank you. I'm going to tell my friend. And then you host it, you know, 3 months later, in 3 months. Educating your clients in mass can help you get consistent clients. Those classes, I have gone out to, I think we've done it at 3 different companies, but unions. As I'm here just to give education. If they want to use me, great. If they don't, that's fine. I just want to educate your union Teamsters and all that stuff on their options for when they're retiring. So you reach out to the unions. I'm telling you, if you can find a union and they like you and they trust you, guess what? Every time somebody's retiring, they're sending them to you. Because the whole point of the union is to protect their members, right? So if you and the union rep have a good relationship, they feel like they can trust you, they will send everybody to you. And the union guys all talk to each other. Pretty soon you're the union health insurance person. So we've got that, unions and Teamsters, find, the electricians guild. I mean, reach out to those kind of closed communities and offer to have a class. Find your blue collar factory to the HR person saying, I would like to offer this as just a free benefit for your employees. Some of them will let you do it during the day hours at their shops, at the factory. And some are like, all right, we'll send out your information. And you're like, I'm going to do it, 2 Thursdays from now at 5:30, whatever. So it's going to take some legwork. But that educating the classes, I'm telling you, those ones are dedicated clients. They're there all the time. And I don't know about you, but I want to work with the person who's willing to educate me. So Rosalind, I see you said you can also build pre-recorded classes on different health insurance topics for people to sign up, then build a lead funnel for them to contact you for insurance. Correct. It doesn't always have to be live. You can do YouTube videos too. Throw those out there and just say, hey, if you want more information, contact me. So you're not necessarily having it over and over again. There's multiple ways to do classes. And I know Sharon, Sam answered you, but you asked, do we do most in-person classes in our office? We do personally, but that, if you've been on my classes long enough, or that 90% of our clients are face-to-face. So we do that. We have utilized our local chamber where they have an amazing camera system so that I can have in-person and do it over the webinar at the same time. What is coming up with the ACA world is eventually we're going to run out of capacity to add new clients. The way the system is built, because we have to talk to them every single year, we're going to run out of the capacity to touch more than 600-700 clients, because we're going to constantly have to keep touching the same ones over and over. And you're like, all right, I got 10 people that are turning 65. I guess I'll get 10 new clients this year. So we're working on that in my office, and there are other agents too, on how we can do this within the regulations, right? We want to keep our regulations. We want to make sure we're doing our due diligence and ethically making sure our clients know, but also be able to bring new clients on. Now, the nice thing about the ACA, for most of the time, there's always a few exceptions, but when you have a client, you get $20 per member per month. You get $20 per member per month, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. So it's not like it's fading off. There are some exceptions, but most of the time it's not renewal, because it's actually a new plan. The plan ended December 31st. They may stay with the same company, they may stay with the same member, but it's technically a new plan for January. Most carriers treat it that way. You get the same. But the ancillary products, the dental, the vision, accident coverage, critical illness, year 1, you're getting like 35%. Year 2, you're getting 2% or 3%. So you need to be able to add new people in. Classes are one of the ways you can do this. You can have them, and we're going to try it. We've got one that we're thinking of doing, where we're going to say, would you like to do this yourself? All right, on Thursday at 4:30, log onto your Zoom, have me in the corner. Let's get on your Health Sherpa. I've sent you the link. All right, everybody, and just walk. If I get 10 people to do that in that hour, that's 10 people I've just done. You need to do some out of the box thinking, not just same old, because we have to be able to grow. And right now, the way the system is set up, it's not really set up to grow beyond what you can handle. I mean, granted, 900 clients for me was plenty, but I wanted to grow. I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to help more. So then I hired agents, but eventually their capacity. Now what do I do? So we're going to come up with some interesting stuff. So Gail, how do you come up with class scripts? What points to talk about? Depends on the class. So for me, when particularly like, don't let insurance stop you from retiring. It's about the premium and how it works. It's really about the tax credit because there's so much misinformation out there, right? Nobody understands how their income works in conjunction with the tax credit. All they've heard is bad news. I'm going to get penalized. I'm going to pay a penalty. I don't want that government insurance. Wait, what? It's not government insurance, right? It's private insurance. And this is why the tax credit, why we're asking for your income. And why we need what you're gonna make, not what you did make. So that's especially if you're talking to people who are thinking of retiring. That's what you want to do. You want to tell them, this is what you need to know when you're ready to retire. Start thinking now. I've had people at those classes who were like, thank you, we planned our whole retirement and now we're set for the next 4 years. It took them 2 years, but then they showed up. Because they were like, all right, this is what I need to know for taxes. And they kind of moved some money around, and they did some stuff. Do an education class to financial advisors and accountants. Reach out just telling financial advisors, accountants, I want to show you how the marketplace works because they still don't always know. In my area, I did that. I think I had 7 that showed up. They liked the class. Then they went home because I recorded it as well. And they told everybody in their office. And so I sent the link out. And so now we have more educated financial advisors, more educated accountants who then refer people to us. Because we were just willing to show them how it works. And then they go, they know how it works. And so then they understand and trust us. Being willing to share your information for free will build trust. So think about, Gail, think about what is the pain point? What do you constantly hear when people come into your office? What is it you hear on Facebook? Join your local Facebook groups. Mommy and me in your county, daddies and me in your county. Find your local groups. There's a ton of them. And then listen, because it's going to come up. Oh, my kid's turning 26. What do I do? I got an answer. Don't walk in there. Hi, this is me and I can help you. And you start blasting everybody with what you do. Be there to help. Sharon says, I saw a postcard from a local bank who's now letting local business owners use their conference room, maybe for a fee. There are places that will let you use their space. Libraries are a great one. Chambers, get involved in your chamber. They're inexpensive. They really are. It's one of the least networking costs that I have is I joined. We now are part of 4 chambers, 4 different counties. And then I just go to the stuff. They have networking groups. They have rooms for free. They have these Vibe at 5s in my area. They have ribbon cuttings. If you're just showing up all the time, you're going to get networking leads, but you got to wear your logo. So one of the easiest ways you can get business is to wear a t-shirt. Have you seen those Ask Me About Medicare buttons? Really big buttons, right? Why doesn't it say, ask me about health insurance? I got coverage for you and your family. If you are struggling to get business, wear the shirt. Now, I'm so busy with business. My business partner, he actually wears different glasses when he leaves the office, and he wears a hat because he doesn't want anyone to talk to him. But beforehand, when you're trying to bring business in, wear your logo. One of the biggest things you should be getting is referrals from your friends and family. If your friends and family don't know what you're doing, you're not marketing yourself very well. You need to be marketing yourself. Your friends and family, I mean, it's frustrating. I was at a church that would go, where should we go? I don't know what to do for health insurance and I need Medicare. And my mother's been going to that church for like 25 years. And she's like, hello, I sell Medicare. I can't believe you're asking, she was so frustrated. But then I was like, I don't know if anyone knows, a few people. And then of course, usually somebody would say, hey, this woman sells Medicare. But at your church, wear a shirt. I can help you with health insurance. If you're going to a baseball game, watching your kid play, wear a shirt that says, I can help you with health insurance. You will be surprised. People will come up and talk to you about health insurance. Now, if you're super uber shy, all right, it's okay. You got this. If you know insurance, you put this shirt on. All right, now I'm prepared. Right? It's a little more when you're like, wait, who are you? When it's out of the blue. Put that shirt on, you know what you are. Put on your agent hat. You will find leads. Steven Weinberger, for those who know who he is, that man can talk. I don't think he goes into a store without walking out with a client. He goes to the gym. He walks out with a client. My receptionist, that woman, I swear, she's passed out more business cards than anyone else in this, the whole company. She was at something recently. I think she was at a yard sale and she heard somebody talking about losing coverage and what do I do? Heard the Cobra conversation and she's like, I can help you, and handed them a business card. Local stuff is going to give you clients that you're not going to lose to the call centers. I mean, it's just not. I think we've lost 2. And one of them, I'm pretty sure she probably punched something in. It could have been her grandma too, because her grandma's trying to help her. But that's because most of our people don't go somewhere else. They talk to us. And as I said last week, when you tell your client, if you see something that looks really good, don't click on that button. Call me first. And then I'll tell you what it is. Rosalind, you have your hand up.
So what you're talking about, Chris, is something I've been studying from YouTube for about 9 months, and it's called branding. So there are 2 channels that I watch for branding, and one of them is Think Media. So if you guys want to figure out how to brand yourself, Think Media is really good. And also Roberto Blake. Roberto Blake is very big on how do you build your presence on YouTube, and then how do you monetize on YouTube. So think definitely outside the box, but you do really need to be aware of your personal brand. And it doesn't have to be like the old fashioned, I have a logo. It's very much now these days is your face, your person, your voice, your presence. You want to be very visible. And it can be done just in your community, like you said, or if you feel like you want to do statewide, you could just be like, hey, I do the entire state of Wisconsin, or I do the entire state of Florida. But it does need to be done with like a lot of yourself. You can't just put like a picture like this tiny and then say I do insurance. You have to be visible, and you have to engage. So those 2 channels are very good about learning how to brand yourself.
Correct. And there's a difference. If you are new to this, there's a very much a difference in marketing on branding and trying to get leads. So leads is an action. You're trying to get them to click the button to call you, to send you out information. And those are the quick ones that you're trying to build up. Branding is Coca-Cola. You see it, you know it, the swoosh, where they just see it and they instantly know what it is. Well, your call to actions are short and isn't going to build your brand. Branding is being everywhere, which does cost more unless you're doing boots on the ground, going to the chambers, going to that kind of stuff. So we are, my company's at the phase where 90% of our marketing is just branding. I just want, like, every time somebody turns around, they're like, hey, there's next step. Hey, there's next step. So that when they walk in and we're seeing this, we always ask, where did you hear from us? And if it's an individual person, we send that person a thank you card. Thank you for referring us. But then so many now are saying everybody, everywhere, multiple people. Now it might've been the radio ad they heard. That might've been the first time they heard it, but they don't remember. And then they saw it on a we don't have billboards right now, but they saw it on a sign at the county fair. And then they went to their kids' ball game, and I've got it on the brochure because it is something. And then their friend says, next step. And they're like, yeah, next step. I've heard of them because I was doing branding marketing. Branding marketing takes longer, but is stronger, and it can cost money without the instant return on investment. You can't always follow that. I have a sign at the county fairgrounds. I've never had anybody walk in and say, I came here because I saw your sign at the county fairgrounds. Okay. So your return on investment, you're not going to see that. Unlike postcards, right? So, okay, I'm going to spend a lump sum of money. I'm asking Chris Weir's lead concepts or any of those companies that will send out leads. I'm buying $500 worth of leads. I got this many clients from that. This was my commission. So you can instantly count return on investment. So there's two different types. If you are instantly looking for fast things, but you don't have any money because you're new at this, go to networking. Facebook leads, honestly, to get those kind of mass leads cost money. It's a percentage. You may only get 2% returning. Well, that means you need to send out like 2,000 leads, which costs a lot of money to then find out you were putting those Facebook leads at the wrong time of the day. Because there's all these companies that figure out the algorithm. You can start small. So it can be local. And then as you start building, the two places that Rosalind talked about, there are so many free YouTube channels out there to show you how to brand and market yourself. Some are going to cost money and some are not. So Viola, you asked if I could share the video with you. Were you talking about the one I sent to the accountants? Because I can. It's not much different than what I told clients. I just spoke more in the accountant language, particularly about how the income worked, that it was this year and the percentage. So if that's what you're asking for, I certainly can. If you want to send me an email, because I will probably forget by the time this is done. So at aca-academy@outlook.com, that's my email. Send me that and I can send you that link. And anybody else who wants that, just shoot me an email. It's speak in the language that who you're presenting to. So it's very similar. It's almost identical to what I told clients. I just focused more on the income and how that affected, and then about the future. One of the things that we have learned and that we do is I feel like I'm a little bit of an accountant counselor or financial counselor. I know just enough to be dangerous, but I can give them some good ideas to talk to their accountant with, especially those who are looking to retire. So scenario, somebody comes in March and they're like, I think I want to retire in August. Okay, what's your income? We have to count your income that you're working from January through August. And then what are you going to live off of? And let's just say this is the cliff, back when the cliff was, they're like, if I do that, I'm going to make $70,000. Well, that means you don't get a tax credit. So if you retire now, could you? Your income will then, and your Social Security or pension, whatever you're going to live off of, put you at 40,000. Here's what your insurance will be. They're like, oh, all right. And I'm like, no, you got to talk to your accountant, your financial advisor, or somebody who only needs to get through 1 year, right? They're going to be 64 when they talk to you, and they've made a lot of money and they're going to have a great retirement. I go, well, any money you pull out this year doesn't count for next year. Put it in the bank, pay your bills from that. I go, tax ramifications aside, I don't have any clue how much taxes you're going to pay if you pull out $40,000 out of your IRA. Talk to your accountant. But if you have $40,000 sitting in your bank and you're living off Social Security, could you do that? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, so your insurance will be $10. Awesome. So then they go and they figure that all out, and then they come back and they're like, all right, I'm ready to do this. So this is why I want you to understand the why. And if you don't understand the why, please look at my previous videos. I go into some really deep depths about the financial side of it. We're a little bit of a counselor. We have to kind of know this, but then talk to your accountant. I love it when somebody goes, hey, I'm getting some life insurance. Does that count as income? Probably not. Talk to the accountant, financial advisor. I sold a house. Is that going to be? And I'm like, could be, could not be. I assume it is till you tell me otherwise. Talk to your accountant financial, which is why you want to connect with accountants and financial advisors. Because some people don't have accountants. Believe it or not, some don't have financial advisors. And I'm not talking about somebody who only makes, 18,000. Somebody walks into, we've had people that have like I don't know, $100,000 sitting in a savings account. And we're like, what? And they have no financial advisor. Here's 3 financial advisors. Here's 2 accountants. I personally and the staff, we don't give out one name in any referrals for that that deals with money. Accountants, financial advisors, we're not giving out one person because they may not connect. So, but I'll say, here's 2, here's 3. And I'm very upfront with my financial advisors who refer people to us, that I'm happy to refer people to them, but I don't just dedicate them. And I don't think anybody's ever been upset by that. They understand. People want choices, and I'm not going to try and pigeonhole somebody into that one spot. But then talk to them. Show them that, again, that you're willing to do that free education. And that if financial Bob brings somebody to me, I'm not going to send that client to anybody else. All right, nope, financial Bob, you're the one that I'm going to work with on that. So Sharon says, Rosalind, can you repeat those YouTube channels again? Or type them in there, of those 2 YouTube channels that you go to. All right. And I'm going to say it out loud because some people listen to this by podcast. So the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Al Ries and Jack Trout. That's a great book. Seriously, there's so much out there. Think Media on YouTube and Roberto Blake on YouTube. Those are the 2 that Rosalind mentioned. There's a ton out there. The thing I was at, the 2 things I will give you from the conference I was at is marketing. It needs to be consistent. Whatever you do, just do it consistently and give it time. Now, you can't do a month of here and then a month over here and a month over here and go, nothing's working. We're not an instantaneous world, and marketing isn't instantaneous. I know we think it is, right? We've got our instant texts, we've got our instant food, but in reality, that's not really how our brains work. You have to give it 6 months at least to find out if it works. For radio, it was 1.5 years. I have radio ads that go out. It's 30-second ads that are on 4 different local radio stations. And it was 1 year to 1.5 years before I started hearing it consistently. Or people kept, I almost daily, oh, I heard you on the radio. I heard you on the radio. 1.5 years commitment. People listen to radio sporadically. If you really want to try a return on investment with radio, sports. People listen to baseball. So people that don't listen to the radio will listen to radio for their baseball game. My dad used to take the radio to the baseball game, sit there in the stands watching the baseball game and listen to the radio. So if you really want to have one that you can kind of see return on investment and you want to just try radio, that would be my suggestion. Do the sports, particularly baseball. People will listen to baseball radio and then you can be the quick little ad. But most of the time, ones that are going to draw it takes a long time. You're not going to see instantaneous return on investment for radio, for branding. The movie theater. I did get some instant return on investment. This was pre-COVID. People had to show up. There was a theater where you couldn't actually pick your chair. You had to kind of get there early. And the story of my ad came up and this woman said she had her hands full of popcorn and she starts kicking her husband. She's like, get your phone out, take a picture, because they had just moved to the area. All right, I had 3 for my radio ads or for the movie ads that was an instant return on investment. They saw my ad, they walked in, and they were all new to the area. So that was great. Post-COVID, nothing. One, there is less people going to the movies, but now people get them online. They buy them ahead of time so they don't have to sit in the ticket, so they don't show up till 10 seconds before the movie theater, you know. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do movie theater again. This last time I didn't see nothing specific. Did I see a return on investment? And it's more expensive than the radio because you have to have a good video and all that stuff. So YouTube, research. Your brand is who you are. There's nothing wrong with getting a niche, figuring out what your niche is. You know, who do you like? Who did you want to be? What did you want to do when you grew up? I thought about being a vet. I love everything about animals. All right, go out to the veterinarian clinics. Talk to them. Believe it or not, that stuff starts happening. They start talking about health insurance with the pets because they talk about pet insurance. Brings around. If you're looking for a small group, that's really one of the big ones that you can do. If you're looking for small groups, go to the groups that you like to do. The thing that you're kind of interested in, maybe what you used to do. You used to work in concrete, go talk to the concrete guys. Hey, I'm here for when you're thinking of retiring. I'm here for when you're family, you know. You already have something in common, you know. Talk to the ones that you like. So consistent, just pick something. And then Facebook is, the other advice is think of your demographic. If you're going for baby boomers, Facebook. If you're going for millennials, Instagram. If you're going for Gen Z, TikTok, woo! And you might have to start doing all of those. My marketing person, her and I are waiting to do TikTok till we find out whether it's going to still be around or not. But I get those kids that are coming off their parents' plan and they know nothing about insurance. All right, we're going to do TikTok. Or I don't want to work with those kids. There's nothing wrong with that. I know the baby boomer demographic and Gen Xers. That's who I want to work with. Okay. You know, we're living in a world that's transitioning. And if you can transition with it, that'll be great. Sharon, you asked if you're a one-man shop, do you promote your name or your company's name? Many people only remember your name. They don't even remember my name. They remember my hair color. Okay. I'm considered the face of Next Step Insurance, but there's 16 people that work here. Joshua gets his clients and they love him. Sam gets her clients, they love her. But I'm the face that's probably out there the most, you know. John has his clients. Dave, our Medicare guy, they have. So my agents are building their own networking within their appointments, but I'm the one who's out there. So if you're a one-man shop and it's going to be you and you don't plan to grow, you're not necessarily planning to sell the business off. When you're done, you're just going to sell your book of business. Use your name. But if you're thinking of doing a legacy, you're going to bring somebody in underneath you to take over your business. You have a child, an employee. We're looking at the idea of having our company be employee owned and figuring out how all that works. Then it's the name. So, you know, think about your future. If you're going to grow this beyond you, then it's really your company. Because you want somebody, when I started hiring agents, when we built our thing and people still wanted to talk to me, and now I'm like, I just can't. But everybody at Next Step has the same ethics as I do. They have the same education mindset as I do. So then it's the company. It's Next Step, not Chris George. Because then everybody wants to talk to Chris George. And I'm like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm full. I don't want it anymore. I can't do it. I'll talk to you out in the street, you know. So think about how you're going to grow. What's your future? If it's just you, then it's you, you know. And we are living in a day and world where particularly millennials and definitely Gen Z, they want to know who you are. So if you work for a nonprofit, I don't know, if you volunteer your time at the Humane Society, put that on your public pages. Post that. On Facebook, on Instagram, on all of these companies where we promote ourselves as our companies. And we post, hey, here's what accident policies mean. And hey, here's the first insurance, you know, history thing. And we post all this insurance thing. You're not going to get business if you can't post something personal and fun. And what will you have the most reaction to is the personal and fun. So we have somebody right now who is consistently putting marketing out there. We have 3 to 4 posts a week on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram slightly less, but consistently going on there. We're having a massive remodel, nothing to do with health insurance. We posted that. That's what gets the most likes. if you're on any of these Facebook pages that are like Next Step or North American has one, they post a lot of insurance stuff. But when we're like, hey, look at my kid who just graduated, that's what everybody likes. So you have to be a real person. It's not the same way it used to be where you kept your business and your personal life completely separate. Now, you don't have to put all of your dirty laundry and your entire personal life out there, okay? I'm not saying that. You can certainly still be professional, but they want to know that you're a real person. One of the things you can do, especially if you're really afraid of the camera, is making these videos is make them quick, make them short, and accept that B+ is okay. Your B+ marketing is okay. You will get to A, but you're never going to get to A+. You're going to constantly put it off. It's not perfect. I think we start looking at, we pull out our cell phone and I go, ooh, that's a bad angle. All right, here we go, right? I know I had a guy say, why do all the women have their faces upward? And I'm like, we're trying to get rid of this, right? We're trying to find the best angle. It's okay. Just do it. I have, I don't know if I put it on the ACA YouTube channel, but I think I did, but I made a whole bunch of, like, I was trying to keep them at 2 minutes or less. What is a deductible? It was my very first video and I did it. And then I realized I have no makeup on. You know what? I don't care. I'm going to just do it because it was good. Everything I want on there. So then I went into the house and I put some lipstick on and came back out and I did like 6 videos and I made them all really short. What's a deductible? What's a max out of pocket? What's a copay? And then I think the first one, I was like, ooh, I don't have any makeup on. And the second one, I'm like, that's the wrong colored lipstick. So I went and changed it and I came back, but I didn't redo them because I just needed to do it. And I shared that with the Medicaid system. So I'm on a weekly call with them, the people that are part of the Medicaid rollback in Wisconsin. And I showed them those videos and they went, oh my goodness, those are great. Can we share those? And I'm thinking, the whole reason I'm on there is they're talking about marketing and how to get Medicaid and all this. And they're going to start sending people to this quick little videos that I made. And they're not perfect. But okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it. And then I learned from it and I've gotten a little bit better, So do some research and then just do it. Jill said, Chris, do you remember when you first started your marketing efforts, where you began? It was networking. Networking. It's the least expensive thing we can do. And then in my area, small town, it was newspaper, believe it or not. We put a couple of ads out because we were in the yellow pages for years, even though that yellow pages kept getting smaller and smaller, because every year we'd think about, why am I in the yellow pages? There'd be some little old lady who's like, I found you in the yellow pages. We are not in the yellow pages anymore. Not even online. We're now done with that. But it was networking and the classes. If you're in an area that has Money Smart Week, look that up. Money Smart Week. Somebody's doing all the marketing for you. They usually are around the time of taxes. But they're doing all the marketing. And you go, hey, I want to teach a class. So you're going to have to do some research. But that networking to me is still, my local BNI, it was expensive, but it was worth it. The people who started the company went to BNI for 2 years and then didn't go again. And we were still getting referrals for them for 5-6 years. And then I recently joined up again because now I'm trying to get business. They'd still been sending people to us. So network. And if you can't afford BNI, chamber. There are networking that is not in person. If you're looking to grow your business, there's a company called H, as in happy H7. That's all virtual. None of those networking meetings are even in person. So there are networking where you can say, hey, I'm in the state of, I'm in the states of, I'm in the numerous states. Networking, and if you build that trust, if I meet with Matthew and he and I have a great one-to-one and he sells construction equipment, and I'm like, yeah, if you ever hear anything about insurance, he's like, all right, I built that trust. He's, suddenly I'm getting a referral from some construction guy. Okay, so networking to me is I will always say networking is the most important one you can do. And you don't have to do it in person because there's plenty of Zoom ones now. So Joseph, who's the best person to talk to about making sure an LLC is set up correctly? Do you write the business under your name or under the LLC? An accountant. You don't want the business to be connected to you. The reason you have an LLC is if the company is sued, your personal life is protected. There's a balance, right? So the company, you know, the E&O and all that stuff is under the LLC. They can't go after your house. But if the company is just you, it can. But accountant's going to help you know, should I file as an S corp? I don't even know what that means. But my accountant's like, you want to file as an S corp? I'm like, all right. And now my company's grown that now we're not going to be an LLC filing as an S corp. We're actually becoming an S corp because of the benefits that brings. So your accountant, and get an accountant who will tell you why they're doing what they're doing. I want to trust my accountant. I want to believe that they've got my best interest, but you know, Wesley Snipes is the one who went to jail, not his accountant. So you want to have a conversation with your accountant. I don't want to be an accountant, but I want to know what's happening. So talk to your accountant. That's really kind of the best way. Patty says, I love doing videos, but my focus is life and pre-need. I'm new to ACA. Take what you've been doing with your videos for that life and change it to ACA. Even if you learn something new, a quick video that says, hey, this is a new thing I learned about the Affordable Care Act. Keep your videos short. I mean, you're doing a webinar, it's not going to be short, but do quick. People do not want to look at a video for longer than about 2-3 minutes. You can do the same topic, but break it into 3-minute segments. So do them quick, and that will help you be succinct and get it down. Owen, yeah, you just mentioned the DACA post on TikTok last Friday that Rosalind made. It was 2 minutes long, had 54,000 views and climbing. You're barely making makeup, but it doesn't matter. We live in a world where it really doesn't matter. They want you to be a real person. I'm excited about the DACA. I thought it was funny that it came out right after I talked about legislation. So for those of you that don't know, DACA can now get tax credits. They were carved out in the original bill, which doesn't even make any sense to me. They could only go on the marketplace and get 100. They had to pay 100%. So as of the December, right? But 2025, if you have a DACA, if you live in an area where there's DACA recipients, they can now get on the marketplace and get tax credits. So, all right. Patty, I love sharing things I learn. I notice they love hearing what I'm learning. Absolutely. If you say, hey, I just learned this, guess what? They just learned it too. I mean, how many of you seen those videos that today was the day I learned? It'll be something weird about tinfoil. And you're like, today's the first day I've learned about that too. Like the little things on the side of the container for, you know, people like those. Today was the, you know, when did you learn this? So, you know, be real. Gail's asking what kind of camera I use. So on my cell phone, I make quick videos with my cell phone. I have the Google phone because I went for the best camera because I'm a photographer. On my screen, I have one that attaches on my screen so that I can look straight ahead. So I don't have a camera either going up my nose or above me looking down. Lighting's the biggest thing. Make sure people can see you. Patty, I'm going to use you. Patty's got backlighting. It's a shadow. So when you're doing a video, don't have it be lighter behind you, right? Have the light on your face. Really, and this is a photographer speaking, lighting's going to be the thing that you need to do the most. And then just make it succinct and be real, you know? Now, if you make a video that's up your nose, okay, you might want to redo that. You know, you want to have it straight. As much as possible, you want to be looking into the camera, not down at a camera, not up at a camera. Just talk straight into a camera. Do whatever you need to do. If it's your laptop camera and you need to put 7 books under it so that you can stand up, do that so that you're looking straight at the camera and then have good lighting, which means behind you should not be lighter. We're pretty much at the end. Joe says, so if you're writing under the LLC's name, that means I need to get an agency license in addition to my personal license, correct? Yes, you could. It's really easy to do. So it's basically how the carrier is going to pay you. So Next Step Insurance has a license. We actually have an NPN. It's not hard to get. Jill said, is that the H7 I mentioned? I'm going to click on that at H7 Marketing. I think that is them. Yes, that's them. Very helpful, very inexpensive, all kinds of business development. I really am liking them. And I think I've only went to 2 meetings so far, and I've already had like 7 networking connections. So get yourself a lamp. The other one is get yourself a good mic. Here's my mic. It sits on the arm over there. You know, again, you need to be heard. If you have to just use a Bluetooth and connect it to your phone or computer so that it can be heard, right? So just little simple things. Those don't cost much. The microphones don't cost much nowadays. Like you can get them, you know, you don't have to buy the super duper tech. Just, you know, make it so that you can hear. Thank you very much. I know some of you are hoping I was just going to go call this number and you'll get 100 free leads, but that stuff doesn't exist. If it seems too good to be true, probably is. As we mentioned last week, somebody's calling you going, hey, I can give you no call leads, as many as you want. Well, it's probably too good to be true because it's not ethical. So you're not going to be able to do no call leads and take care of your clients. You have to do some work, but then it's worth it. It is a snowball at the top of the hill, the tiny little ball, but then it starts getting bigger as it starts collecting. And then your referrals would be your referrals, which will also send you referrals. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Next week, remember, random questions. So either bring your question or send it to me. And I hope you all have a wonderful week.